Yo, so do you want that to be my thing? Like, make sure everyone gets like beverages and stuff, because I'll do that.
Oh yeah, that'd be fantastic.
I mean, no doubt I can do that.
Yeah. So
all right, cool. So
let's do that again. Let's do that again.
What do you mean?
Are we? Did you want to start with that? Or?
No, we make the rules, man. We're started already.
We started already. Okay. Well, my name's Aaron. What's your name?
My name's
What?
Aaron.
Aaron.
Your name's the Pebble.
I am the Pebble.
AKA the word weapon.
The word weapon. That's what they call me, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in again.
Hey, this is to teach one.
To teach one. I feel like we should have like a little jingle, with like some people singing.
You better get out of here with that jingle stuff, man. I still haven't quite forgiven you for the first jingle that we had, like the intro music.
For those of you who listened to the first episode.
Because you were watching like Dallas or something, I don't know.
I thought it was upbeat. It made me want to dance. You can go check it out. That's To Teach One #1. Go listen to the intro music. Tell me what you think. I mean, now we have like a nice jazzy thing going on, but I kind of like the 70s sort of like disco rock vibe going on with #1.
There's a lot of things I like about this, 70s, but that's
wasn't no. Okay. Well, you have to remember we're working with free music. I mean, we do credit the artist, but we're not actually paying for the music. So, I'd like to be able to use some stuff that we enjoy listening to, but you have to pay for that.
It's all good, man. We're gonna be doing some upgrades, in the near future.
Oh, absolutely.
Everything.
Yeah, we're gonna be up to 9 regular listeners before
it's going to change. You know what? I'm glad you brought that up, because when I went and looked at the stats. Okay, the analytics. There's a lot more people that are listening than they are following us, which is not irregular. Some of the biggest like YouTube stars, right? You'll hear them say from time to time, they're like, "Hey, by the way, I was looking at my analytics, and it turns out a lot more of you, are just consuming the content, but you're not following us, and we'd like that."
Absolutely. Well, and it's important, right? Because that's how we can measure how well we're doing. I mean,
it's definitely one way,
it's great to get people to listen, but we want to be able to say these people are regular listeners, people who actually enjoy the witty banter.
Absolutely. So please go ahead and follow us wherever you listen to the podcast, and don't forget to let someone know.
Yeah, tell your friends.
Share it.
Tell your mom.
Comment.
Call your dad.
Call your dad.
Brothers and sisters, your aunts and uncles.
Man, whoever.
Yeah, the guy you met on the street. If you're like standing next to somebody, right? You're out there and you're just having like a good old time walking down the street. Just remember to be like, hey.
Just enjoying the podcast.
Yeah, you're like, I don't know you, but you should totally listen to this podcast. And then you learn something. It's entertaining. We have special guest stars.
That's why they call you the word weapon.
Yeah, you learn about the dingoes going on in Australia. I mean, guys going back.
The dingo baby army.
The dingo baby army.
All right, that was cool.
Yeah, that
all
was
right.
fun. All right, so
to not do what happened last time.
By the way, got a little off track.
Yeah, let us know how you liked episode #4. Things were slightly unhinged, but we had a lot of fun doing that one.
Oh yeah, it was a blast. And just remember, if you haven't gotten your weekly dose of rookie therapy, just hit us up on the website. Let us know.
Absolutely, we will talk to the Ricky himself.
We know
see what we can do.
Yeah.
He's completely uninterested at this point, but perhaps if he had some potential customers.
Oh yeah.
From us.
Oh, and he's tall and good looking, ladies. Just to let you know. Nobody's roped him in yet.
Oh man, he's already tall enough, man. Don't.
Yeah, his
don't feed. Don't feed the beast, man. Before we get too far, obviously there's one person missing here.
Yeah, we're missing the wonderful Doris again.
Yeah, absolutely. She's hibernating.
Yes.
It's snowing outside.
Yes.
So, she doesn't do snow.
No, and hopefully next week we can return to finish up our series on cancer. It's
absolutely.
Very important.
Yeah. Part 2 of that discussion.
Still upcoming.
We're going to be talking about general outline of what cancer is. Mm-hmm. Going to give some more insight into the major types of cancer. We can't talk about all of them, but we can touch on a few of the more prevalent ones, so to speak.
It's a very large topic.
Very large, but we're just going to touch on a few things.
Yeah, fundamentals. That's what we're about here.
Exactly. Fundamentals.
What are we talking about today?
Well, according to the talking points here, because we need those.
I just saying we might get off track a little bit.
Dude, just careening wildly.
Yeah, they're talking about ice hockey and the forward pass and
the invention, the so-called evolution to ice hockey. Hopefully we didn't make anyone mad with that, whole story. But it sounds very
reasonable, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's reasonable.
I have no proof that any of that is true, but
right.
It makes sense in my head, and that's what's important.
True.
Yeah.
True. Because we make the rules, right?
That's right. Yeah. I mean, here.
That is until some of you guys hit us up and,
Yeah, tell us what's up.
Let us know what's up.
Yeah.
So anyway, today on the agenda, we're talking about this gym thing, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the reasons that people don't go to the gym or they stopped going?
Right. Yeah, that's it's an important thing. A lot of people will. I think most people have tried to go at some point. They've thought to themselves, just like we talked about in episode number 2, they're like, you know what? This is my year. I'm going to get in there. I'm going to start lifting weights. And in a couple months, I'm going to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger or whoever your famous movie star is that you want to look like,
just shoulder boulders, man.
Yeah. And the thing is it, number one, it's not quite that easy. And number 2.
What?
Yeah.
It's not?
No. Well, what people forget is there is no magic formula, right?
What?
There is no magic formula. People like Arnold, most of your famous bodybuilders, in fact, all of your famous bodybuilders, that's a genetic thing, number one, right? So some people are just genetically predisposed to grow large muscles and to look good in that way.
Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah, they are. And most people are not.
You're talking about me, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah, man. Look at those arms, man.
Hey, I do nothing. I do nothing for these.
Well, no, we've all known those guys. Right? I know a couple. They look like they work out, even though they don't really work out that much. And when they do work out, they look phenomenal. They look like they're on the cover of Men's Health, that kind of thing.
Yeah, they just look, yes, aesthetically, they already look good. They may look aesthetically a little bit better, but I think there's also something about how healthy they look, once they get into actually looking out.
Sure, yeah. That's it's one of those things where that's not going to happen that quickly. The first thing we wanted to discuss, right, when we talk about this, was education. Right?
Yeah, so a very important component, because it actually will help you, first of all, reach your goals in a much safer and sustainable manner, right?
Right. Because when you go into the gym and you think I'm going to do this thing in 2 months, and you're going kind of for the wrong reasons, you want to look good and you want to look good quickly, and you don't realize how the human body actually operates, then you come in with some false expectations, some expectations that don't get met, and then you leave, and you're like, well, it didn't work for me. And, the reality is that the gym is important for everybody. And it doesn't necessarily have to be like the gym. Because we talked about that.
Yeah, wherever you choose to work out, your bedroom, whatever.
Yeah, but it's vital for health that you do some kind of physical exercise. Like the human body was built to move, right?
Wait, so let me get this straight. We weren't just built to, Netflix and chill?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, as fun as Netflix and chill is with some potato chips, it's not really what the human body was built to do.
Perhaps a friend?
Yeah, nice.
To help with the chill portion?
Snuggle bunny.
Hey.
Snuggle bunny. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, ladies, I am still single.
Hey.
That's true.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So.
So anyway, yeah. So the education part is really, really important.
Education's important.
Testament to that is, I liked about what you said about the expectations, coupled with the safety issue, right? I remember when I first got back, to working out. It took a little while before I was actually back in the weight room and doing my own thing, because there was a couple steps I took. First, I joined the gym. I looked into what they had class wise, because I wasn't very self motivated.
Right.
I talked about that in episode 1.
Yeah.
And
you were on a team, right?
Well, exactly. I played team sports, so I had people directing me, luckily. And I had to figure out how to, do it on my own. So I took a couple classes. First one, I was whooped. Okay. I still remember how vividly I hated everything. Air. I mean, anything and everything was just, I hurt so bad, Aaron.
Yeah. I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. It was one of those, tiny, trainers. There's this girl who trains at 20th Street. Mm-hmm. You've probably seen her around. She's not to be trifled with.
Yeah.
She's very loud. And halfway through, you're just wondering, why the hell did I sign up for this?
Yeah. You're like, is this supposed to be fun? Am I getting healthier at the moment?
Exactly. And then you're looking around and you're thinking to yourself, wait, am I the only one who's like completely, just suffering right now?
Yeah.
And it seems that way because no one else is like
dying.
It looks like they're dying.
Well, and that's interesting because we're kind of talking about our first 3 points. They all kind of roll into one, right? So, number one, if you go in too hard, too fast, I think that pushes people away, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because of one, pain factor.
Pain.
Right.
And you're so sore the next day, you're like, I'm not doing that again.
Oh, yeah. It's hard it's really difficult.
Yeah.
And it will be actually for more than one day. It'll be probably the first week.
Well, and maybe even like the first month.
Yeah, absolutely. It just depends. For me, it's usually like about a week.
Yeah.
Or nowadays, a lot less than that. Like probably 2 days, maybe a maximum 4.
Yeah.
If I really switch things up.
Really push it. Yeah, depending on what you do. And
exactly.
And I know for me, you come to regard that soreness. Well, it becomes less, number one, and you become used to it, and you see it as sort of a sign of success. Like
no, not in the beginning.
Not in the beginning.
Eventually, yeah.
Eventually, yes. Well, and that's what I wanted to talk about, because I have spoken with several gentlemen, over the years, and I did my own research into, bodybuilding and how it works.
Right.
Because I started off like everybody else did, and I'm by no means a physical specimen. I look decent, but I'm not a bodybuilder. However, so I did some research into it. Number one, I came to the conclusion that routines meant for guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger, professional bodybuilders who oftentimes supplement just good nutrition with steroids. It's an issue.
Right.
Those routines aren't for the average person, right? So that's number one. And you have to realize, number two, how muscle is built. Right? So when you're in the gym, so many guys have this illusion that I'm going to do the training like Arnold and I'm building muscle in the gym when you're not.
Well, no, but there's a reason why they think that though, because you get that pump, right?
Yes.
And for some people, it's actually noticeable right then
that,
you're kind of puffed up and stuff, right? That's because blood is being pumped into your muscle fiber. That's, why they talk about getting a pump.
Yes.
And that's only one part. It's only one component of.
Right. Yeah. That's not actually building muscle. That's just more blood flowing to the area.
Exactly.
Pro tip, about to go on a date, do yourself like 20 push-ups, some pull-ups if you can. Mm-hmm. Get that nice pump going on. And, I'm just saying it can help.
Yeah.
It can help. But that's not where muscle is built, right? So that's the pump. That's blood flowing to the area because you're actually damaging your muscles when you work out on purpose.
Right.
You're creating small, very, very tiny tears in the tissue of the muscle. And then you rest, you eat properly, and the muscle rebuilds itself just slightly stronger than it did before.
Right.
And more of it, that's why you get bigger.
So what I'm hearing is you don't just lift the weights and think magic happens, even though you do get a pump. What you have to do after that is couple it with good nutrition, followed by sleep.
Sleep
which
necessary.
Really is, nutrition is definitely at the top of the list. Sleep is very, very vital. And I don't think enough people talk about that part of it. Some people talk about it like, it's some like miracle. And it might be actually the missing component for some people.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
That's the one thing they're doing wrong. That's why they're not seeing results.
Yeah, because if you don't give your body enough time to rebuild itself, it's not going to.
Absolutely.
Right?
Speaking of rebuilding, going back to the, going too hard too soon.
Sure.
Sometimes the problem is when you're going hard, right? Because, maybe, you might be in decent shape, but your muscles aren't used to that, getting that kind of, being exerting themselves that much, right? So in my case, what happened was I was working out in the gym, doing really well. I decided to go up on weights because I felt like I could do it, right? Nothing was wrong then. But the next day, it was over, man. And I'm not just talking general soreness. I found out that I'd actually injured myself.
Oh, wow.
And then that just takes time.
And time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, taking it slow is not a bad idea.
I've been there. I was in a situation where I had some friends who were way more advanced than I was. This is years ago. And I worked out one day and I was very sore. And their advice, we were in our 20s. We didn't know any better. Their advice, you got to work through it. Just work through that soreness. So I did. I literally could not extend my left arm for like a week. It was like I could not extend my bicep out all the way. Like it just wouldn't happen. I was so sore. And what did I do? I didn't work out for a long time after that. And that's what happens. You go in, you're so enthusiastic. There's oftentimes in sports this perception that playing through the pain. And sure, if you're getting paid $60 million a year, play through the pain.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
If you're just trying to look better and get a little bit more in shape, don't play through the pain. Pain is an indicator that you need to stop.
Yeah, something's up.
Yeah.
So listen to your body.
Listen to your body. Yeah. A little soreness is one thing, but, don't give that soreness means your body is still rebuilding. So give it time to do that.
Yeah, there's a difference between soreness and like I might have injured myself.
Yeah. And you can learn that difference.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully not the hard way.
Yeah. I think, injury is a part of working out. You're going to probably pull a muscle or something at some point.
Oh yeah, but that's different too.
It's different, yeah.
And to that point, even though you've done your best to educate yourself, use the people that are around you at the gym.
Yes.
Okay, because they will be able to tell you, okay, fine, maybe try moving like this, because they're around this stuff all the time.
Yeah.
They can help you identify, one from the other.
Yes. All right. Usually, sharp pain is an indicator as opposed to just dull soreness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, another reason that I used to find that I didn't go to a gym was I thought I didn't have time. And I know a lot of people, that is an excuse that I hear a lot. I hear, they're like, well, I want to work out, but I have all these things going on. Mm-hmm. And it was really about prioritizing my time.
Got to give my cat a bath this evening.
Yes. Now, if you're a new parent or something where you really don't have time, that's different.
Yeah, that's a totally different
Totally
situation.
different thing. But most people have time. It's about prioritizing the time because they don't think of exercise as something necessary. They think of exercise as a luxury. And it really isn't. If you want to be there for your loved ones 10, 20, 30 years from now, you want to be healthy into old age, all the studies. There is no study that says, what helped out Joe to get to 90 and still be moving around.
True.
Was sitting on the couch. No.
Well, no. Actually, that's a great point because, okay, so you look at some of the healthier, older folks that live in, so for instance, Doris is our in-house clinician.
Yes.
She works exclusively with, the geriatric population, right? Now, the amount of activity and the things some of these people are doing, I mean, there's some mental degeneration to some point and obviously physically, right?
Yeah.
They're really quite old.
Yeah.
I mean, she considers some of the ones that are like 70 something as the young ones, which is always hilarious, right? And the reason, part of the reason why that is because of the lifestyle they lived, okay? When they were kids or when they were growing up, guess what? They were doing stuff.
Yes.
Because that's how it was always meant to be. When in the beginning, we had to chase our food.
Chase the food.
So at that point, exercise was a luxury.
Yes, we didn't need to exercise.
I don't think anyone was like, oh, dude, I didn't get to do my reps in today, bro.
Nobody was doing push-ups.
No one was like, crying over that, They had to like chase down a mammoth.
Right, and hit it with a bunch of sticks and spears.
Exactly.
Everything, physical exertion was necessary to sustain life. And in our present society, it's not. And we get busy with all these other things. And you think, well, I have this that I want to do and that I want to do. Everybody who isn't in a situation where they, have a small child or something like that can find 45 minutes to work out. Like, it's just not that difficult to find that kind of time. And maybe you can't go to a gym, but I guarantee you could come home and rock out like 3 sets of 20 push-ups, do some sit-ups, run around the block.
You can do a little routine at the house. There's definitely ways to, get around that. The internet is a great resource. Just get online, type in home workout or something like that. Boom. Just get at it, man. Oh, man, what you sipping on, man? What you sipping on?
Ladies and gentlemen, for a refreshing break, please choose some sparkling mineral water.
Yes.
Mineral water? Mineral water. It's a new thing. A lot of people drink mineral water. I drink mineral water.
What's the difference?
Lots of ling.
Yes.
I would mention the brand, but they don't pay us.
Yeah, yet.
Yet, right. We're soon to be sponsored by mineral water.
I really hope so.
Yeah, we have fun.
I consume enough of that stuff. I think it would just be right.
Yeah, you do drink a lot of mineral water. In fact, you introduced me to drinking some mineral water. Although I used to, like I talk about, when I was switching over from soda, I used to put fruit juice and mineral water, but then I, stopped. But now it's kind of, I drink a lot of water, so it's a nice break to include a little sparkling water in your water intake.
True that.
So we were talking about how everybody could find time, right? So that's not really a reason. That's a reason that people use because they just don't want to go, because they haven't really thought about where their priorities are. And if you have children, if you have people you love, you owe it to them to be as healthy as you can be. Plus, let me tell you, you are going to be happier. You feel better.
Hey, man, feel good hormone.
Yeah, it happens. Like the runner's high, that stuff, that's
Endorphins,
a real
man.
thing. Endorphins are real, and they are better than anything that you could get at the supermarket.
They're powerful.
Or here in Colorado, we have some other stores. And they are better than that. And they're nature's way of rewarding you. And also nature's way of taking away some significant amount of pain that occurs.
That's very true.
Because you're putting your body through some serious stuff that releases those endorphins so that you don't feel that pain.
Yeah, when you're trying to pull a David Goggins.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that man is amazing.
What kind of endorphin release happens in his
There's
system?
No telling.
Like if you experienced his level of, because that dude has ran with the craziest injuries.
Yeah. Well, and it's so interesting to me, because I run 10 to 12 miles on a Sunday, right? Sometimes 14, 15.
Yeah,
on a regular basis, right?
Yeah, beast.
Well, and people are like, "Wow, that's amazing." And then I hear about David Goggins running people who run 7. I saw a sticker. You know how they have the 13.1, 26.2. This van had a sticker on it that had like 70 something next to all those other stickers, and I was like, I had to wave at that guy. I had to give him the salute because I can't even run a marathon yet. There are people that run marathons few times a year just for fun.
Yeah, David Goggins did the most back-to-back marathons and actually ultra marathons.
Yeah, ultra marathons. Do you know the story of why they call it a marathon?
Oh, you know what? I do know this story, but I'm sure there's a lot of people that don't.
It's interesting. So it comes from ancient Greece.
Yes.
There was a battle that Athens...
Sparta. Oh, not Sparta. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They might have been fighting the Spartans. I think they might have been fighting the Persians, though. But anyway, so it was a place called Marathon, right? And they won the battle against all expectations. Mm-hmm. And so they sent this guy, I don't know his name, to run back to... They were like, run back to Athens.
Let's call him Sam.
So they sent Sam.
Samius.
Samius. Yes, yeah. Samius. They sent Samius back to Athens. They were like, run fast as you can back to Athens. Tell him we won.
Give him the good news.
So that's what he did. And the distance back to Athens was...
26.2 miles?
Correct. And that's where we get the total. But do you know what happened to Samius after he ran back?
Poor Samius.
Samius dropped dead. So people run for fun.
Well, okay, so here's the thing, though. See, we don't know the rest of the story. Maybe he had taken a couple slashes and stuff.
That's true. We don't really know.
Because they were in battle.
Yeah, they were.
So it makes sense.
Yeah,
because people don't just drop and die every time they do a marathon nowadays, right?
No, they don't.
So I'm thinking there was something else going on.
Although, have you ever seen some people finish the marathon? And that's what scares me. I was in training. I really wanted to do the marathon this year, but when I got up to 15. And I did 15 miles in a row. Yeah. Right? I was not right for about 2 days. It totally sapped me. And I was, eating along the way like you say you're supposed to and keeping my carbs up still. That's an impressive achievement. So that's what I mean when I Yeah, 10, 12 miles, great. But man, those people, men and women hitting the 26.2 and that's just truly impressive. And, how did they get that way? Right? Because they trained. Right? Everybody had a starting point, right? So they put aside this idea that they didn't have time to prioritize their physical fitness, and then it became fun for them. And the next thing you know, they're starting to run marathons, which is kind of my story, even though I'm not quite to the marathon yet.
You're doing pretty damn good, man.
Yeah, I'm getting there. And one of the things also that I've been able to do is to prioritize my money. Because a lot of people will tell you, hey, I can't join the gym or I can't get involved in that activity because I don't have the money. And while it may be true that you can't join the fancy gym with the spa and everything like that, most, if not all, localities in the United States at least, and I would imagine in other countries, there's a rec center nearby. Like your tax dollars already pay for part of it, and they just want you to contribute a little bit.
Yeah.
And you can join that rec center, and those people are down to earth. We go to the 20th Street Rec here in Denver.
Yeah, shout out to Bridget and everyone over there.
It's just a superbly run place.
Yeah.
And the people all want to help. And that's the kind of place that you want to find. But if I couldn't go to the 20th Street gym, I don't run there all the time. You can walk out your door and find a place, find a park, do something.
Oh, right? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I did it, I just started by, running in the neighborhood. I just created a little loop that I
remember that.
I created as my goal. I didn't even make it all the way around. I did like a block, then I'd like power walk the next block, and then I'd run again.
That's where it starts.
And that's where I started, So, saying that you don't have time or money, again, it just goes back to the prioritizing.
Yeah, it's all
find
about
time,
priorities.
Find money. I decided to scale back my, shoe collecting and that, that kind of thing. I mean, I save aggressively. I do the things. I manage my money pretty well.
Yeah,
but when it comes to
shoes,
that side of things with the shoes and stuff, I was like, listen, relax on all that. You can spend your money a better way. So I decided to, buy better food.
Yeah, you do buy some very good food, and your nutrition game is on point.
Whole fruits and vegetables. Well, it's on point until it's not.
Well, that's true, and we
I
all
have my moments.
Yeah, we all do, and I think that's important. Like running after Oreos, like that's important. Like having a treat occasionally, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but you can definitely choose your treats. A little bit better too.
That's true. I mean, I would say, anything with a bunch of saturated fat and stuff like that, probably not your best treat. But if you have a couple, no big deal.
Yeah, if you're not just going hammer,
right,
should be okay.
The important thing is, what are you spending your money on? For instance, just as an example, we talk about shoes in your shoe collection, which is very impressive, by the way. A lot of people think, well, I can't afford a nice pair of shoes.
Yeah.
And we used to have this discussion.
Oh, man.
And
are we going here?
Just a little bit, for a minute, because what you pointed out to me was truly interesting. You can spend, if you look at how much does it cost you every time you wear a pair of shoes, right? So you could buy a cheap pair of shoes.
So you're talking about cost per wear.
Cost per wear, right?
Right. Okay, go ahead.
You can buy a cheap pair of shoes, and in a year and a half, there's going to be like a hole inside or something because it's just cemented together. And then it's done.
Well, yeah, because also the materials aren't good enough quality for it to be recrafted.
Exactly.
Right.
Whereas if you buy a more expensive pair of shoes, you can wear them, and then the equipment or the quality of the equipment that they're made with, or the materials, is good enough to where when something goes wrong or you wear the sole out, you just get it remade. It doesn't cost you as much.
Yeah.
And you'll have that pair of shoes the rest of your life. Well, look at your body the same way.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
And your body is crucial, right? And keeping it in good shape, right, is the most important thing you can do. Everything else you accomplish in your life begins with physically being able to do it.
True.
Mental acuity also rolls into that, so it's very important. And I wanted to talk too about one of the things that used to keep me out of the gym when I was younger. And now that I'm a little bit more self-confident, a little more, comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah.
As a full-grown adult.
Yes.
I don't really even think about it. But I certainly did when I was younger. And that is, I thought when I was going to the gym and I didn't look all ripped and jacked and all that people were judging me.
But I mean, that's a common misconception with so many different things, right? People think that they have to be at a certain level to even engage in anything.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that part of it is insecurity, right? I mean, and then also sometimes, some of that is self-sabotage, right? Maybe you're not completely into doing, this thing, right? It's an easy out.
It really is. It's an excuse that you can tell yourself.
Exactly.
To not ever start.
Yeah. I mean, for example, if we thought about it like that, we'd never be here doing the podcast right now.
That's right.
We have never done this before.
Never.
But we have pretty, good conversations amongst ourselves. And we're like, you know what? Maybe people would like to hear what, we have to say about, this topic, right?
Yeah. And we had a passion for healthcare and health. And
absolutely. And it's a real thing, in our own, day-to-day lives. These are things that we're talking about. We're exploring, we kind of give each other, ish about, stuff that has to do with this.
Yes, we do.
It's, it's something we actually, do on a day-to-day basis. But, to your point, we'd never have started this and actually done it to the point where we can look back one day.
Yeah. And be
like, wow. First of all, we sounded like crap in the beginning, right? We thought we were just killing it, right?
But hopefully it gets better every time.
Well, and that's the thing. And when we talked about it, we're like, listen, the only way we're going to be able to do this
is jump on it
and do it.
Just do it. And really drive ourselves to do it. Drive ourselves to produce content, to not just wing it. I mean, number 4 last week was great, but we don't want to do that every week.
No, absolutely not.
We want to talk about things that are important. We want to have fun with it.
Yeah.
But like we're doing tonight, we want to talk about a subject that will intrigue people, and maybe it hits on something that's going on in their own lives.
Right.
And it's also something that's going on in our lives.
Yeah.
Because we're all humans and we all go through the same journey of life and oftentimes run into the same difficulties, right? So I used to not want to go to the gym because I didn't look like guys that had been in the gym for 1.5 years or 2 years or 5 years. Well, the thing is, it's like when I started running. Like, I could not run a block. Like you talked about that. That's exactly how it was. But I just didn't stop. I remember when 2 miles used to kill me.
2 miles it's still not like the easiest part of any run.
No.
The first 2 miles.
First couple are difficult.
Yeah,
Once I hit 4 or 5, I'm good.
Yeah, typically by then your body has kind of switched over, and I don't know what happens, and then you're just like, cool, maybe it's the endorphins really starting to pump or something.
Yeah. Well, I know I've done a little bit of reading. There's something that happens around at the 10, 12 minute mark when you're exerting yourself, physically. But that's another episode. Hopefully, at some point, we'll have a physical trainer or somebody in here to talk more about
no doubt.
The biology of working out, because it's fascinating.
Yeah, give us some insight into what's actually happening.
But the important thing is to realize if you're thinking about going to a gym, and you don't look like you've been going to the gym, to remember that every single one of those people that are in there at some point was you. They started day one, right? And they might have been younger. They might have started off with more physical advantages, but they started off not understanding what was going on, right? Not really knowing what all these, what this equipment was for, not really knowing what routines they should follow.
Yes.
They all started off on that journey. And I guarantee you, even though they may look intimidating because they lift a lot of weights, they're more than happy to help. They love to see, who doesn't love to see somebody engage in an activity that they also love? You don't see runners out there going, are you running? No. But for some reason, bodybuilders and that kind of thing, they get this image of because they're big, somehow they're mean or something. But trust me, when you walk into a gym and you're brand new, I would say 99% of all those people have mad respect for your ability to walk in there and be like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I know I want to do it. And trust me, and we've seen this. Oh, yeah. The longer that you go, and you're going to make improvements. You just keep at it. You're going to make improvements. Those people see you doing that, and they respect you more and more. Next thing you know, you've made some buddies, you've made some friends, you know the staff, and it becomes part of your routine.
Yeah, it's a community, man.
Yeah, and some people, what we find interesting is people are there for different reasons, right? So some people are in there really trying to get their groove on. Some people are there for some different reasons, which brings us to our next topic of why some people don't like the gym, right? We affectionately refer to them as the gym bros.
Well, I mean, okay, so the bigger discussion really, and it's a big one. I think it's one of the bigger discussions you can have about being at the gym or in any, let's say fitness related community, right?
Right.
Is the culture.
The culture.
you know, as you said, the gym bros. Okay, so let's liken it to kind of, to like the quad or the, like the little, the quad in high school, you just look around and, it's so funny because we didn't have, cliques like they exist here when I was back home in Kenya going to school.
Really?
I mean, obviously, that's something that happens everywhere, right? But here they're so defined. It's so funny because you see like, the dudes, the guys in the ponchos in the corner, right? And they're freaking they're hacking it up, man. Playing hacky sack.
Yeah.
Okay. Then you see, the jocks, they're over there doing their thing. You see all these, the punks, like all these the skaters. Exactly. Yeah. It's so interesting to see how well defined those groups are, and it's no different in the gym.
No, it's true.
Okay, there's a few different characters that you can definitely single out in the gym. You were telling me an interesting story about how there was this gym that at some point you wanted to start working out, but this gym,
these guys. Well, I didn't realize at the time. I mean, looking back on it, I'm like 100% certain they were on steroids, but it was right around the corner from my house, and so was the little convenience store that I worked at back in Texas. And they would come in, and it was intimidating because they weren't very nice. And you got this sense like you didn't want to walk into that gym unless you were huge and already like just blah, 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 And I was not that guy back then.
Yeah.
And it totally dissuaded me from going to that gym. Now, what we're talking about is working out without getting steroids. There is a whole culture in the bodybuilding world where steroids are considered acceptable. I've had some friends who use them, and I can just tell you, I watched them change. Like, you pump that kind of stuff into your body, it changes who you are as a person. Just no doubt.
So in that situation, like that was the culture at that gym.
Yeah, that was the culture.
And so it dissuaded you. Like, so you're like, okay, cool, not my gym.
Not my gym, right.
But there's other situations outside of that where it's not quite as like bad. So you're looking at, situations where you come, in contact with the non-steroid using gym bros, like, aka the meatheads.
The meatheads, they're there. And they usually travel in packs and they work out together. And one of them will be like pumping the other guy up while he's working out. And it's kind of interesting because it's not how we roll. But I used to never go to a gym without somebody like that, like an encourager. Right.
Hey, it's very useful to have.
It can be totally useful, yeah.
Mine was Jacob, but was the white shark for the longest time, man. Because he'd start talking,
big dog.
He'd start talking, talking that stuff all the way from the freaking house, all the way until the gym and after. I mean, I had no choice, man.
But even he will talk about like the guys at the gym that are just annoyingly like that way, and they may be wonderful people, but when they're in the gym, you kind of laugh at it because they're usually younger. And they're usually just like so enthusiastic about it.
Right.
And there's a little bit of the hormones going on,
So there's those guys.
Right.
Then there's also, let's see, who else are we looking at here? We've got the silverback.
The silverback.
Okay. That word is not meant to be derogatory or anything. It describes the more distinguished gentleman.
Yes.
In decent shape. Right.
Yeah. Been working out for years.
Right. And you can tell. You're like, holy crap, man. This dude, like, if I was out, at dinner or something and I just happened to mistakenly talk some crap to this guy.
Yeah.
It's on.
Yeah.
And I'm getting it.
Yeah. Because you don't really realize because they look a little bit older.
Yes.
In the face. And then you see him in the gym and you're like, man, you've been doing this for like 15 years.
Man, you are strong.
Yeah.
You would destroy me. Right. And I love seeing that, but then the flip side to that is sometimes that guy at the gym is also like the biggest pain in the ass. Like no one likes sometimes you find one of those guys who no one likes because he likes to try, like come around and like, kind of peacock around and like, try and punk people. You know what I'm saying? Just like, he's just there to cause trouble. Like it's part of why he goes to the gym.
Right.
He's known, like, he's that guy.
Yeah.
And Jacob, there's this one guy at his gym. Man, Jacob, I don't understand how, Jacob held it together, man. Because when I went to work out with Jacob, when I spent the night at his place, I saw that guy, and that guy was like, he was giving me looks, but he didn't do all these things that Jacob has. Jacob's told me some stories about this dude.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure how someone hasn't, rearranged to hit the guy's face.
Right. Yeah, because he's the silverback, though. Like, you would have to go next to him and lift more than him, and then he'd be like, "Oh, well, okay, yeah."
It's one of those situations.
It's kind of primal, and that's the thing about the gym too. Is it's a primal situation. People lifting heavy stuff, doing heavy things.
Well, true. I mean,
Billy Jim Bob would love it.
He's an alpha.
Yeah, he's an alpha male.
But he's also just a complete
kind of a jerk.
Yeah, he's a jerk.
Let's face it. Yeah,
he's a jerk.
Yeah, and that's who else is kind of a jerk. And this can be anybody if they're not paying attention. But it's hilarious when we walk in there.
Oh yeah,
and there'll be a guy who's on like a complete circuit routine in a packed gym. And he's got his towel sitting on this thing over here. He's on this thing over here. He's got a mat laid out for him to do some Pilates right in the middle of everybody.
Yep.
And you're just thinking to yourself, do you
do some Pilates.
Do you not realize that there's a bunch of people here ready to work out, and you've got your stuff on 3 different things, and everybody's usually trying to be polite, and this guy just doesn't get it. That, you have to know what's going on at the gym.
Yeah.
If it's 6 a.m, there's nobody there, man. Circuit train all around.
No, but that's the thing.
If it's noon,
he's there for whatever reason.
Yeah,
he's doing this at peak hours too.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, it's so funny because you end up having to work around him, or you just kind of get polite and a little bold too, and you're just like, "Hey, man."
No, you have to. You have to just.
Hey, man, I'm going to use this.
Yeah,
while
you
you're
have
over
to be
there.
assertive.
Yeah,
And
it's cool because most of the time they don't really realize it. They're just not thinking about it. People tend to be, and this is going to be a shock to Adrian, given our line of work, but people can be very self-centered. They don't mean to do it. They're just not really thinking about other people. They're like, this is what I want to do, and this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And then once you point out to them, hey, can I jump in there and do that? Like, oh, yeah, sure, no problem.
Right.
But it's definitely an issue, and it's part of the culture thing where people will go and if you don't know and you're not used to it, that can dissuade you from doing a workout that you want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it completely messes up your workout because let's say you're used to doing something in a specific, like order, because it makes sense for how you're training, right? Yeah, and that stuff happens. But anyway, long story short, do not monopolize.
Don't monopolize
the equipment at the gym. It's typically it's a rule. That's, that's stated.
And I think for me the rule is, let's say I'm using a certain machine and I want to do a few sets. I don't leave that machine. If I leave it and somebody hops on it, that's the way it works. Like, that's fair game, right?
So along with that, there's the phone guy. Phone guy is almost the same.
Yeah,
right?
phone guy could be the monopolizer.
Except for he's not taking up, he's not doing the circuit thing and, trying to monopolize several pieces of workout equipment. He is just kind of sitting there, probably came to the gym because, it's a social thing, or he just wanted to get out the house. Maybe he wants to, just bird dog some of the women,
right?
And okay, I get it, right?
But
the good thing is more often than not, they're nice enough to just kind of be like, oh, like you said, they're trying to be jerks, right?
Really, they just don't realize it.
But they're coming off that way, they're still annoying.
Yeah.
But they'll move on if you ask them.
Yeah, and be about your business at the gym. I mean, if you got to take a quick phone call, that's fine. But, you don't want to be the cause of anybody else not wanting to go. And these are all just some things that we've noticed at our gym and the gyms that we've been to in the past.
Yeah. So, just to rattle off a few more of these people.
Conversation guy.
Okay.
Hey,
conversation guy.
So what's going on with you and like this and that? I mean, and these guys are usually very friendly guys. But they don't realize that I'm there for a purpose. Like, I have a limited amount of time to work out. I gotta get it in.
Exactly.
And
you've done your warm up.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong. Like, a little conversation is fun. But as soon as somebody, like, if you're that guy, because I've done it, because sometimes I want to talk, right? And I'll be talking to somebody, and then they start to work out, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's my signal.
Yeah. Well, at least you know that. There's the guys now, the people we are talking about that are, can be a deterrent. These guys will follow you.
Oh, sure.
And even to the point where, I'll start working out. I'll start getting my reps in. be done, and they're still standing there talking to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, first of all, I was really enjoying the song I was listening to. I decided to speak to you because actually, I like you and your conversation is good. But we're not supposed to be having, it's not supposed to be a 3-hour lecture.
Right. And we can always go and get a bite to eat after the gym, or we can hang out. We can hang out in the locker room and talk and stuff like that. But when you're actually working out, and I know for me, I work out to a time schedule.
Yes.
I want to take a certain amount of time between each set, and
right.
and that's something that we wanted to touch base on. And I think we kind of skipped over it, which is I didn't really know how to work out when I started. So we go back to education, and I know we each have some philosophies that we're going to talk about later.
Yes.
But the important thing is to educate yourself, and you can kind of do that on the internet. You can find some resources and pick a philosophy that works for you.
Mm-hmm. Try different things. Experimentation is a really, really good way to go.
Right.
Because that way you can, you'll stumble upon something that, works for you.
Right.
And then you can commit to it for a while, see how that goes.
Yeah.
And as recommended, you're supposed to switch your workouts.
Yeah.
Preferably, 6 weeks, but you can do you can do 90 days.
Right.
I think at the maximum, and then you switch it up a little bit.
Yeah, add a new exercise in or something like that.
Yeah,
but
something like that.
One thing is to spend some time and educate yourself. That way you feel you get a plan when you're going in. You're not just standing there looking at all this new equipment going, what do I do? Because that can stop you from going again. Because you're like, that was just too intimidating. I really didn't like that experience.
Yeah, true.
Whereas if you go in with a plan and you know what you want to do, you're a lot more confident.
Yeah, no doubt.
I know for a lot of people, too, that I've talked to, I call it the baseball complex.
Oh, wait.
Wait.
So, outside of the actual, weight room or, the fitness studio, whatever it is, boxing gym, outside of that space, there's also the locker rooms, okay? Because that's another place where, there's some things that can happen in there that are definitely
No, I'm
deterrents.
glad you brought that up. I totally forgot about this guy.
Now, it's unfair. In some ways, it's unfair to bring this up because it's a locker room.
It is a locker room. And we've all been there.
And there's no escaping this.
No.
But naked guy. A little bit too comfortable.
Being naked.
Dude that is perhaps an avid nudist
in his free time.
Yeah. And is now feeling a little bit too free.
Yeah. It's very interesting because I don't talk to people in the locker room. I feel like I'm just in there and I want to get out and change and do that. But some people, they're more comfortable with their bodies, right? And to me, they tend to be older gentlemen, which I can see that. You get to a certain age and you're like, you know what? I've been wearing clothes for 60 years.
And I gotta admit, I'm kind of looking forward to that level of freedom.
Oh yeah, just not caring anymore.
There's this carefree, nature, to all these older folks that, one day.
One day we'll be there. Although I hope I'm never like naked guy at the gym having conversations with people.
No, that's the part I want to skip. That and probably others, but
Well, and that's the thing. It can keep people from going back to the gym. You're like, that was a weird experience. But
yeah, totally, man.
Okay, so just don't look directly at it. That's the key.
Definitely don't do that.
Just notice that it's in your peripheral vision, right? Be polite.
Only.
And then move on.
Only. Be aware. Only keep awareness of its proximity to you.
Yes. That
if anything.
That's important. It's also important to have a reason to leave, right? So, got to be back at work. That's a good one. You can use that.
My cat needs a bath.
That's an important one.
It's like my favorite one.
Dog needs fed.
Yes.
My girlfriend's warming up the car. There's a few ones you can use, but have some ready to roll so that you can get out of the situation from having a prolonged conversation in the locker room with a naked guy.
True that.
It's important. Yeah. All right. So let me talk a little bit about the baseball complex because we've run into a few people like this. I didn't actually have this issue, but I call it that because there are people, and I think about a particular movie where sort of your dad makes you play baseball when you're a kid.
Yeah.
And just ruins the fun of it by making it so important that you do it really well. When you get to your own level of making your own decisions,
right,
you don't play baseball. Like for me, it was fishing, right? So my stepfather made me go fishing so often. And I'm good at it. I know how to do it. Fillet the fish, all kinds of stuff, right?
Okay.
But you don't ever catch me going fishing because it ruined the fun of it for me. And as soon as I was able to make my own decisions, I said, you know what? I don't like to fish.
That's for the birds.
That's for the birds, right?
Yeah, and there's plenty of situations like that.
Right?
Know.
And what I wanted to say was, this isn't one of those situations. So let's say your dad or an uncle or somebody like a coach, maybe, you had this negative impression of working out because of some stuff that happened to you when you were much younger. And what I'm telling you is that working out is not really an option. Like, you're gonna have to be physically active in some manner or some form. And I wanted to urge people to release that, right? To talk about it with somebody, because that can be a real issue with people, right?
Right. Yeah, for
sure.
Sure.
To push past that, to find your own comfort level with working out. Like, you don't have to go try to be Arnold. You don't have to go run 12 miles. Mm-hmm. But being able to break a sweat and have a little bit of cardiovascular health,
right,
and doing some strength training are immediately going to benefit you. Immediately going to benefit your health, going to allow you to live longer, live healthier, live happier. That's why we emphasize this so much. Going to the gym for us is not about looking like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Both of us realize that we are not going to look like that. But what we do know is we love going. We are healthier for it. And when we're 70 and we're still able to move around, that's all going to be because of this effort that we put in now.
Right.
And I guarantee you, everybody wants to live a long and happy and healthy life. Mm-hmm. And working out is crucially part of it. Now, so is emotional stability, and so is having a good career and a job, all those things. But I want to just urge anybody that's suffering from what I call the baseball complex to push past that, to recognize the importance of physical activity, and to find their comfort level with it at some place.
So what about guys that, they have injuries? People, guys, gals, whoever, right?
Yeah.
So perhaps not something, an injury that you sustained, while at the gym. Or it could be that. Whatever the case is, you have an injury.
Yeah.
And you're trying to, get into a new fitness regimen or what, something like that.
Yeah. That's an important consideration, because I
know you have some experience with that.
I have a couple.
Yeah.
And there are ways to work around them. So I recognize some of my issues and some things that I injured when I was much younger. Well, there's exercises that I can do. Like, there's some that I can't, but there's some that I can, and I find a way to work those muscle groups in another way. Legs can be difficult for me sometimes. So, and I have bad knees. Like, I have a weird pattern, a weird hand pattern on my legs, because every time I run, I have to wear knee braces. And that's just a fact of some stuff that happened when I was younger. So there's a way to work around those things. Don't let it dissuade you. Like, I came in with a shoulder issue that I'd had a long time ago.
Yeah, shoulder issues are horrible too. Yeah. You don't realize how bad they are until you just try to go and do any workout.
Yeah. But what's cool is I started slow this time around with that shoulder. And now, because the muscles around that particular area are much, bigger would be the word, much stronger, I don't really have an issue with it anymore. Plus, like with a rotator cuff issue, there are targeted exercises that you can find to strengthen that area. And over time, and it takes time.
Right.
It gets stronger. You get more comfortable. You recognize your limitations. You work around them, and then it's not an issue anymore. You've built it into your routine. You know who you are. And you find over time that the muscles around the areas which are injured, they compensate.
Right.
And it doesn't become an issue. But there are people with like real structural limitations.
At least in the short term, it's not an issue. But then over time, it causes that domino effect. Mm-hmm. Because now yes, they're compensating because that's what they're naturally meant to do.
Right.
But, that can cause other injuries.
Well, it can, but like in my case, it hasn't, because I've also been working out that rotator cuff.
Right.
Right. So I haven't just,
Exactly. So at least you're doing something.
Yes, I address
the issue. Exactly.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. If you don't address it, then you can overcompensate in a bad way.
Right.
But I mean, in a good way, you can work around it. Your body will figure out a way to work around it.
Right.
You just want to make sure that it figures out the way that you want. And then there are people who all respect to. There's a lady that goes to our gym, and she rolls in there in a wheelchair, and she gets it as best as she can, right? And everybody kind of helps her out a little bit when she needs it.
Right.
Most of the time that she doesn't, and she's trying to stay as physically active as she can. Because even if you never build any kind of muscle, working out has been proven to be so good for your brain. Like avoiding Alzheimer's, avoiding senility, those kind of things.
Oh, absolutely, man.
It's been shown that keeping your body active is just as important as keeping your brain active. Because your brain is controlling your body. I mean, that's part of what it does. That's why, they actually consider the ability of athletes to move in certain ways is a type of intelligence.
So you're saying that working out is important?
Highly important.
Like we said, the human body was always meant to move. In the past, we found ourselves, doing this naturally every day, right? Mm-hmm. Having to, go out, chop wood, to keep warm.
Yeah.
Going out to gather supplies, hunting, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
We've always kept, in the past, we were a lot more active.
Oh, yeah. I mean, people just lived way more active lives than they do today.
Exactly.
Like working at a desk all day was just not really something that very few people did at all.
No, that came with the Industrial Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something important to do. I mean, I don't think that was ever in question.
No.
But, just to explain why, it's because that's how our bodies are really conditioned to be in a state of movement. Mm-hmm. There's that saying, you use it or lose it.
And it's true.
Yeah, so true.
And especially as you approach, the middle ages, if you allow yourself to drop off at that point, it's very hard to get back.
True that.
And that's why it's a commitment that I have to not let that happen as long as I can. Mm-hmm. And that provides the motivation for me to go every day. Plus, I've gotten to where I just love the physical exertion. It's very important to me.
Why did that have like some semi-dirty vibes to it?
Well, I want to look good with my shirt off. I mean, it's not like the main issue, but it's an issue. It's an issue.
That's cool, man.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I mean, I'm honest about it. Like, I remember we talked about it.
Honesty is important.
Revenge on an ex, the good kind of revenge. Not like I'm sitting outside your house and I'm going to slash your tires. I mean, like, I'm going to look as good as I can, and then I want you to see me look that good. That's a motivating factor that I think people can use, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's exactly what got me started this time around. Like I said, I almost ended up with the motorcycle and a few tattoos, which is not really me. But, the working out part of it became something that I really enjoyed and I've always really wanted to dive into. And now I have the ability and the time and the wherewithal to do what I want to do. And I'm very thankful for it. And I don't let it go to waste. And so all these things that we've talked about this evening are excuses that we, at some point in our lives, use to keep ourselves out of the gym. And I look at it this way. So if you think, what if I'd started working out 5 years ago? Right? What if I'd started working out 10 years ago? And you may see a guy in a gym who's obviously been there for like 10 years, or a lady at the gym, who's been there for a long time. And you think, man, if only I had started when they did, or if only I had started when they, blah, blah, blah. Look at it this way.
Yeah,
right?
But that's that shoulda, coulda, woulda, though.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
You can start that tomorrow, my friends.
Yes.
Tomorrow can be your day that 3 to 4 years from now, you look back on and you're like, that's when it started. Yep. And yeah, it was difficult and I was sore and I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't really know all these guys that are now my super good friends. I didn't know the lady at the front desk that I now hang out, have Thanksgiving dinner with.
Right.
I didn't have any of that. And I certainly didn't look and feel this good. But what I did do was what brings success every time. I just kept going. And nothing that happened allowed me, or gave me, I didn't take it as an excuse or a reason to stop. Right? So this can be in any aspect of your life. But staying physically healthy is so important. 5 years from now, you can literally be a different person. You can look different. You can eat different. You can have this new way of life. And along the way, you're going to learn so much and you're going to enjoy yourself so much that you're not even going to think about it that way. Because in 6 months, you'll be different. In a year, you'll be different still.
Yeah, absolutely.
And none of that happens if you don't start. If you don't overcome all of those excuses, all of those reasons that are sometimes very valid to not go and start. Just do it. Just start. Just begin. I couldn't run a block 2 years ago.
Hey.
And today, I could, like, if I had to right now, I could go run 15 miles.
If you had to right now, you could totally just take off.
Yeah.
And run for, a
couple hours.
At least a couple hours.
Yeah.
It's funny. Every Sunday when you take off to go on your runs, right? I'm at the house getting ready to go and pick up, our clients and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, the last time I saw this dude was like hours ago, and I won't see him again until I get back. It's mind blowing.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I took a second to not let you give up.
Yeah, that's how it started. Like, ladies and gentlemen, you got to know how it happened. Adrian actually ran more than me, and we got invited to do the Colfax Marathon Relay, which I urge everyone to do if they've never done it. And I was going to have to run at the beginning 4 miles, right? I still smoked cigarettes on a regular basis. I did not run at all. And we just started. I was like, you know what? Maybe this is a good time to stop smoking and to run. So we started. I couldn't run a mile. I couldn't run a block. And we were running one time, and I stopped, and Adrian kind of kept going. And then I, would run and stop and run and stop. So the next time we get to about the same place on the run, and Adrian and I go to stop, and he just like grabs me by the shirt, and he's like, no, just keep running. Like, I know you want to stop. Just keep running. And I did, and I've never looked back. Because that's the key.
I just did what I thought was the right thing because, prior to us running together, I didn't have anyone there to do that for me.
Right.
And that's what I knew I would have,
Yeah, and I remember you talking about it. Yeah. Was this idea where, it gets to be painful, and you're not used to that level of physical exertion, and you think, oh, I need to stop. You don't. Right? I mean, if you experience a sharp pain or something, sure, go ahead and stop. But if you just think you're out of breath, just keep running. And then we kept running because we had a goal, which was to get to this 4 miles. It ended up I had to run the 6 mile portion. I did it, and I could have stopped then, but I didn't. I went from 6 miles to 7 miles to 8 miles to on. And then my goal was to run, 13.1, and I accomplished that. And that's when I realized I don't have to stop here.
Yeah, man.
And so every... and I don't always go out and try to push it because it gets to be taxing. I got to tell you, when you're up there in the middle teens, it becomes a different operation. Like, things that have been rubbing together for 2 hours, you just don't think about. Like, stuff that rubs together for 2 hours begins to chafe.
Right.
And then you realize that why long distance runners have special equipment and all these things that they do that you don't really need if you just run like 5 or 6 miles becomes mandatory at like 12 and above. But it was a journey that started so simply that anybody could do it. And now I get people who give me kudos and they're like, wow, that's amazing. But it really just began with some willpower and some want and digging deep. But I remember those days when like 2.5 miles, 3 miles was killing me, and I just didn't stop. And then the next time I went out, I could run a little bit further and run a little bit further. Next thing you know, and the journey still continues. I'm not where I want to be. And hopefully I never am. I don't think you're ever supposed to reach that carrot. The carrot's always in front of you, and you're always trying to do a little bit more. And as long as you keep that attitude about anything that you do, you continually get better. You continually strive. And it's in the striving, right? It's in that moment. Because even now, when I'm on like mile 9, and it's cold, and it's windy, and I'm thinking to myself, I ran 9 miles. I could stop. Who even knows? Nobody's even watching me.
Man, do you remember the mantra? You can slow down.
Yep.
You can speed up.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't stop.
That's the key. Stop. Believe it. Okay, yeah, we don't. Okay, hold on.
I think we're breaking the rules.
We're breaking the rules.
One of the rules was talking about politics, religion,
and no singing.
Yeah,
you don't want to hear me sing. Although It's so funny. I think I can
He
sing
came
well.
to the realization
that I couldn't sing well. Yeah, on one of our test podcasts. Let's not go back to that one. But really, not stopping is the key. But what's awesome is it's in that moment when I want to stop and I don't, when I'm back at home and I'm drinking like a protein shake and I'm worn out, I got that. I'm the only one that knows. I'm the only one that knows that at mile 9.5, everything that was going through my head tells me you should stop. And I didn't stop. And what do you know? I did 15 miles.
Yeah.
And wasn't any ribbons or anything waiting for me when I got home, but I did it for me.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
You should do it for you.
Absolutely.
Everybody should do this for themselves. And what was cool is it felt just as good to push through mile 0.5 to get to mile 1 as it does now to push through mile 9.5 to get to 10, 11, 12. It's the same feeling, and it can be the same feeling for you.
It's all about the journey.
You will have accomplished something.
It's all about the journey, man.
It is. It really is. It's in the striving, and it's
anything that's worth having is going to, involve some kind of journey, and
absolutely,
that's where the juice is, man.
That's the truth. And I wanted to just encourage everyone who's listening not only to follow us, right? I want you to follow. I want you to go to the website. That's the number 2. That's the word teach and the number 1.com. I want you to check us out there. I want you to look at us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, all this stuff, right? And that's
wherever you listen to podcasts, let's look for
and that's the number 2, the word teach, and the word 1, right? But beyond that, I want to encourage you to get in there, to get in the fight, to start or to continue with your fitness regimen, your personal goals, the desires that you have for your life, and I want you to get in there and I want you to do them, because everybody has something about them that is amazing. And you know what it is. You know what you love to do. I want you to do it. I want you to tell us about it. I don't want to hear just about your fitness goals. I want to hear about your life goals. I want to hear about, maybe you don't want to start a podcast. Maybe you want to start a film. Maybe you want to travel the Nile. Maybe you want to do something that I've never even heard of, but you're going to be super good at it. I want to hear about it. I want to know that there are people out there accomplishing great things. And I hope that just listening to this podcast gives you a little bit of encouragement. I know sometimes we're super funny, and I love to be funny. I love the silly characters and things like that. But what I really want is for people to get something out of this, where they leave, they take off the headphones, they put down the iPad, and they get out there and they accomplish something for themselves.
Ladies and gentlemen, the word weapon.
I get excited. I'm passionate about people.
Yeah, once it gets into the mode, I just sit back, man. I've come to terms with, the fact that I'm just here to hang out. I just lend a support, really.
That's not true.
It would be a little bit, crazy if he just came and spoke, to himself, although he's capable.
It's somewhat true.
Yeah.
That's somewhat true. But none of this podcast doesn't happen if Adrian doesn't get me off the couch in the same way. Where he's like, no, we're doing this. And I'm like, well, we're not quite blah, blah. He's like, no, we're going. We're doing it. And so.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I mean, I like to talk, and it's something that, like I always tell Adrian, it's so funny because the place in most people's heads where like directions are, like east, west, north, south, that kind of thing, just words. There's just words there. Like somebody the other day was asking me what direction something was, and I'm like, I have no idea. Like I couldn't even tell you. Do you want me to describe it to you? Because I could describe it to you. Would you like to know the history of the thing? But what direction it's pointing in, I don't have a clue. It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Everybody's got strengths. Everybody's got weaknesses.
True that.
All right. I think we're running into our overtime.
Yeah, we're definitely running into the overtime, but, just to kind of bookend this thing, there's a lot of reasons why you shouldn't and should do things.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it has to make sense for you. Don't give up on yourself.
No.
Things that are good typically come at a price.
Yeah.
Although in the end, they're definitely worth it.
Absolutely.
So we hope you got something out of this discussion.
Yeah. Please let us know.
Next week, please let us know. Find us on Facebook and Instagram primarily. We also have a Twitter account. All that can be found on the website, and that is
2teach1.com.
2teach1. That's the number 2 and number 1.com.
Absolutely.
So next week we're going to come back with part 2 of the cancer discussion in episode 3.
Absolutely.
We spoke about how cancer affected us. So cancer from our perspective. This is going to be episode 6.
Episode 6? We're at episode 6 already?
Is that true?
That's amazing. I just said absolutely like 4 times in a row. I'm going to go for 5. Absolutely true, Adrian.
Hold on. So is it really going to be episode 6?
This is episode 5.
Okay, yeah. So episode 6 is going to be.
Yeah, we have some fantastic things coming up. We talked about it last episode, but we're about to just really dive into this thing and do some amazingly fun things.
Yeah, we're gonna get into some good partnerships and bring some different content to everyone. Yeah, looking forward to it. We're in the planning stages.
Yeah. This is also a journey that we're in the middle of still.
True that.
It's great. So I just wanted to thank everybody for listening to us ramble on for about 45 minutes. Hopefully you got something out of it.
Ramble
on. Oh, sorry. I was about to start singing some Zeppelin. It's, yeah.
All right. And with that, we're just going to end this.
All right.
Thanks to everyone. And we're going to try and make our way home safely now.
All right. Well, my name is Aaron. This is To Teach One. I'd like to say thank you and goodbye.
My name's Adrian. Peace.